You don't have to be a very experienced pickleball player to have had this happen to you. You're in the middle of a rally and it's going right down to the wire. It's a great game you're having. Maybe you're at 3-3 in game number 3. It's going right down to the end, and all of a sudden in the middle of this terrific rally you're having, a ball comes bouncing on your court. And maybe it rolls around by your feet, maybe it's up near the net, maybe it even hits you or one of the people you're playing with. It happens. It happens that you get interfered with from balls from adjacent courts. It also sometimes happens that you accidentally send a ball to an adjacent court. Maybe you're having this great rally and the ball goes off your paddle and then goes flying sideways instead of back over the net, right? Maybe a ball gets hit for a winner and goes on such an angle that it just rolls over to the next court. That happens as well. And what I want to do today is talk about the etiquette around being interfered with and also interfering with another game. Okay, so first of all, we need to know sort of what are our rights? What are our rights when it comes to a ball coming on our court in the middle of a rally? Well, you have the right to stop play. And this is for one of two reasons. One is that this ball coming on your court could be a danger. It could be a risk. A ball could be rolling around by your feet and you might accidentally step on it and then roll your ankle and that hurts, right? Or this could happen to your opponents too. The ball could be going behind them. They might get hit by the ball, whatever it is. And so if there is a risk to someone getting hurt, you're allowed to put up your hand and say, oh, hold on, there's a ball coming. And we stop play and then we go and we replay the point. And that's called a let. So you're allowed to stop play because there could be something dangerous happening. You can also stop play when a ball comes on your court because it's a distraction. The technical term in pickleball is a hindrance. So if you were hindered by the fact that a ball came on your court, even if that just means that you just got distracted by it for a moment. So you're in the middle of a rally and all of a sudden you see this ball coming over, that's a distraction, that's a hindrance. And you're allowed to ask for a let, to ask to replay the point because you're hindered with as well. But it's important to remember that you don't have to stop play just because a ball comes on your court. You're allowed to do this, but you don't have to do this. So we better make sense of when is a good time to stop play and when is it maybe not such a good time to stop. Okay, so first off, if you are legitimately hindered because a ball coming on your court, then yeah, you should stop play, right? Your opponents are about to hit this ball really hard right at you. You're watching it. You're going to have all your attention, your wits about you. And all of a sudden you look over there because there's a ball coming across. Well, yeah, you have a legitimate complaint that you were hindered, right? So in that case, you could stop it. And if someone is going to get hurt, then yeah, you should stop that as well, right? Even if there's just like a pretty good chance or a decent chance that someone's going to get hurt, there's a ball rolling around by the baseline. Well, if you're up at the kitchen and there's a ball rolling at the baseline, I mean, there's still a decent chance that someone's going to move back to the baseline. We see this often in pickleball, right? Maybe a lob gets hit and that person has to run back. Maybe they've set up a high ball themselves and they back up to try to defend. So in that case where there's a reasonably good chance that the ball might even be close to someone who might hurt themselves, then yeah, you should put up your hand, say heads up, there's a ball, let's stop, let's replay the point. But what about situations where you're not really hindered with? Or you're hindered, but it's like really minor. So here's an example. My team is serving, and my partner is serving the ball, and we serve, and as that return is getting struck and it's going toward my partner who's focused on the ball, I notice that a ball comes rolling behind our court. And then it goes off to the next court. Well, was I hindered? I guess technically. I was distracted for a second. But did it make a big difference? Not really. The ball wasn't even coming to me, right? It was still going to my partner over here. So in that case, while I'm allowed to stop the rally, I think it would be reasonable to say, no, let's just keep playing, right? That ball's gone. It hindered me for a second, but didn't make a big difference, okay? Another situation could be that the ball rolls on the court. It's not such a hindrance, and it's also not really a risk. So in the case where the ball skitters across onto the next court, well, it was maybe a risk for a moment, but that risk is over, right? That ball has now left to the next court. It's now a risk for somebody else, I guess, right? Or it could be the case where the ball is still on your court somewhere, but it's in a position that no one is likely to go anywhere near there. So for example, let's say we're playing and we're all up near the net and a ball rolls back to the back fence behind my opponents and it's right back against the fence, right in the corner, like nobody goes there. That's quite different than if the ball is rolling around the baseline where people often go, right? So in that case, I might make a judgment call, and that's what this is really, it's a judgment call, that the ball is in such a specific place that it is very, very, very unlikely anyone's going to go back there and get hurt. And maybe if they are starting to go back in that direction, I might change my mind and say, hey, watch out, there's a ball. But I've got good reason to think that this ball poses no risk at all. And in either of those cases, I think it's reasonable to continue to play on, because you're not worried that anyone's going to get hurt, that's the most important part, and you weren't really distracted in any sort of meaningful way. Okay, so now we've talked about handling balls that come onto your court, when to stop, when to play on. What about when a ball that you're playing with goes onto someone else's court? What should you do then? Well, the first thing you should do is, again, you should assess the degree to which this ball is going to interfere with them. If this is a ball that is going to roll around or be any sort of health and safety risk to any of the 4 players on the other court, you should let them know right away. And the way you do that is you make yourself loud, you make yourself noticeable. Hey, watch out, ball coming. Even better if you know the names of the players. Hey, Jimmy, watch out, there's a ball at your feet. Right? Get their attention. Make sure that they know that there's a risk that's coming to their court. Now, if that ball goes on their court for a second and skitters away to the next court, well, that risk is over. And so at that point, if the risk is over, you don't need to interrupt them even more than you already have, right? The ball is gone. Jimmy's not going to step on it anymore because it's away. The risk is done. So in that case, you just let that ball go. I think you could also assume that if the ball goes on their court but doesn't pose a risk to them, it's back near the baseline in that spot that's not precarious at all, no one's going to go back there, right? You could also then allow them to keep playing. You don't necessarily need to interrupt them. What about if there's a ball in front of them? So let's say that the 4 players are playing and that ball comes rolling like through their kitchen. I mean, presumably they would see it, you would think. But I think you should still say in that case, heads up guys, ball's coming, right? And loud enough that they can see, that they can hear, and presumably they can see the ball. But what if they don't stop? In many cases, players will stop right away, right? They're going to hear you, they're going to see the ball, they're going to stop, they're going to give it back to you or whatever. But what if they don't stop? Then you go on the court, right? You interfere, you put your hands up, you stop them, you say, hey guys, there's a ball here, why didn't you stop? No, you do not do that. You do not do that. Why? These are adult human beings. They can make their own choices. You have done your job. You have fulfilled your duty when you warned those players in a very noticeable way that there was a risk. Now, if those 4 players, those adult human beings, choose to continue to play, knowing that there's a risk, then you got to let them play. Don't interfere. Don't walk on their court. Don't keep yelling at them, barking at them that there's a ball, there's a ball, there's a ball. Have you ever seen those people? Ball, 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 ball. They're making it all about them when that happens. You have done your job. You've already interfered with them once, right? By sending that ball, by accident, of course. By sending that ball on court, you've already interfered with them once. If they are choosing to ignore it and to continue to play on, don't interfere more. It's not good for you. It's not good for them. They're taking a risk. They are knowingly taking that risk. You let them do it. Don't go chasing your ball. Just wait till their rally is done, and then you can ask them to send it back to you or whatever. Okay, so that's how you handle that situation. Use your judgment. If you think there's any sort of real risk at all to the players, you should alert them right away. And assuming that they could hear you, that they understood that there's a risk, that they keep playing, then you let them play. Okay. If they give the ball back to you, when they give the ball back to you, be sure to thank them for it. Apologize for interrupting, even though it happens in pickleball. It's not a big deal. It wasn't personal. You didn't mean to. It's good etiquette to say, hey, sorry guys, heads up, ball coming, sorry, right? Because you interfered. They should do the same to you. And realize that when someone does interfere with you, it's not personal, right? They weren't trying to interfere with you, right? Probably not, at least. They weren't trying to interfere. It happens in pickleball. Okay. One last thing to consider. When you are returning a ball to another court, don't just swat that ball away. That's very rude. Put in the effort, if you can, bend over, pick up the ball, and hold it. And you will likely see someone who's waving to you, someone who's trying to get your attention. And then send that ball by air. Toss it to them, hit it to them if you have enough control. Send the ball with them by air, preferably if you can make it so it bounces nicely once right before them and they can catch it comfortably. But it's kind of rude just to swat the ball, to hit it along the court. It's certainly rude to kick the ball to them, okay? So it's a really good idea when you're returning a ball to someone else, put in a little bit of effort, show a little bit of kindness, send the ball to them in the air if you can, comfortably so they can get it. And that is a good way to, even though you're interfering with other people or they're interfering with you, to still keep your pickleball friends.